Hey everyone, my name is Ryan Shields. I'm a PGY4 and one of the chief residents, along with my co-chief, Kristen Vaccaro, here from the Medical College of Wisconsin. I think our program director also, Dr. Goodfriend, has also joined us tonight. Thanks everyone for logging on for this. I remember, coming to the PM&R Scholar events back when I was in medical school, preparing for the application season. So I think this is well worth your time. So just to kind of kick us off, we're the Medical College of Wisconsin, and we're going to try to highlight some of the most important parts of our program for you tonight. So I'll let Kristen go ahead and take us to the next slide.
All right. As Ryan said, like I'm Kristen. I'm one of the chief residents as well. Just give you some background information on MCW. So we are one of the oldest PM&R departments in the U.S. On the right, we rank sixth in 1951. We are an advanced program, so you do your intern year separately. There tends to be about like 2 to 3 maybe residents that end up doing their intern year with MCW, such as like Ryan did his intern year as prelim at MCW. And then there's also a chunk that also do a TY year. I did a transitional year, but so advanced programs, so that's PGY 2, 3, and 4. There's 6 residents per class, and then we do have representation across the country. So this is from at least the past 3 to 4 years in terms of where residents are located. Obviously, more heavy on the Midwest, but we do also get a lot of California and Florida and then spread across as well.
So just to talk a little bit about our program leadership, I mentioned Dr. Goodfriend before. So Dr. Goodfriend is our program director, and she's also joined on our leadership team by 2 associate program directors, Dr. Ball, who's also a graduate of our program a few years back and one of our previous spinal cord injury fellows as well. And then Dr. Katsonis, who has been in the Milwaukee area for a long time. He went to medical school at MCW and then returned here after his residency in Chicago.
We also have Mary Inlows. She's our program coordinator. And then Dr. Christopher White is our new chair. This has happened in the past year. He took over for our prior chair, Dr. Braza. He, prior to being chair, was first at Freighter, specializes in spinal cord injury. He did a shortly transferred to the VA, and then is also not only our chair, but now our medical director at our inpatient rehab, which we'll talk about as well.
So just to kind of briefly highlight some of the major sites that we train at during our residency, starting from the left hand side of your screen on the upper part of it, the pretty building you see there is Freighter Hospital. I had the privilege of doing my intern year at Freighter in the internal medicine program, and that is our level 1 trauma center. It's one of 2 level 1 trauma centers in the state of Wisconsin. And so we basically we have a catchment area that includes basically the entire eastern half of the state, as well as part of the Upper Peninsula as well. This is a tertiary care center and a place where you'll see a lot of different pathology from a lot of different places. More towards the center of the screen in the upper hand or upper portion of the screen is our VA Medical Center, the Clement J. Zablocki Medical Center. This is where we spend quite a bit of time. We do a lot of our EMG training here. We see a lot of our MSK clinic patients here, and then we also see a large portion of our spinal cord injury veterans here as well. So especially during your PGY4 year, you'll spend a significant amount of time at our VA. So you get a good exposure to what it's like working in, an academic medical center as well as a VA medical center. And then moving towards the right-hand part of your screen, we also are lucky enough to have exposure to a children's hospital, which is on the same exact campus as our level 1 trauma center, Freighter Hospital. And so these are connected by a tunnel, very easy to get from one place to another. And we get a lot of exposure to both inpatient and outpatient pediatric PM&R issues at our children's hospital. And our program director, Dr. Goodfriend, works out of our children's hospital, and so she can speak more to children's later on if anyone has any questions related to that. And then down in the bottom center of the screen, you'll see probably the place where you'll spend most of your time, at least early on in residency, and that's our inpatient rehab hospital, Freighter Blue Mound Rehab Hospital, affectionately known as Blue Mound. And as a PGY2, you'll spend almost 75% of your year here and learning kind of the ins and out of inpatient PM&R. And then on either side of that picture, you'll see just two of our various clinic sites that you'll get to spend time at as a PGY3 and a PGY4 when you get more exposure to, some of the outpatient aspects of PM&R. So we have a spine care clinic where you'll see spine pathology and pain pathology. And then we also have a dedicated sports and spine clinic in a different part of Milwaukee.
So just a quick breakdown of rotations. Majority of your PGY2 rotations, as Ryan said, are at that Freighter Blue Mound Rehab Hospitals. Like that being 11 months of being an inpatient, split between Blue Mound, of course, as well as being at the VA and as well as Children's. And then as you transition into your PGY3 and PGY4 year, it becomes much more lean towards outpatient, and as well as getting more elective time. So in your PGY3 year, you do 2 months of sports and 2 months of pain. And at the end of those two rotations, you get about 2.5 weeks each of different electives that you can do within the Freighter system. And then your PGY4, you get 3 months of electives, two at the VA and one at Freighter, where you can really kind of specialize what you want to do. But again, kind of similar to what other programs have, majority of your PGY2 year is kind of heavy on the inpatient, and then that's progressively transitioned to outpatient as you move forward.
And then just speaking a little bit about our call schedule, won't get too into the weeds with this, but the big features to know about our call schedule is that it's all home call. On the weekends, if you're on call over the weekend, you do come in and round the attendings, but on one of the days over the weekend at Blue Mound, you can leave as soon as you're done writing your notes and putting in all your orders. And if you're at the VA on the weekend, you can go home, essentially as soon as you're finished rounding and take the rest of your call that weekend from home. And another big important feature here is that at our program, on the only time you'll be working on a weekend is if you're on call, and the call decreases in a stepwise fashion from PGY2 to PGY4 year. So you can see down at the bottom of the screen that as a PGY2, you'll have the heaviest call burden, but by the time you're a PGY4, you'll only work essentially 5 weekends out of the year. And in addition to weekend call, we do also have weekday call. And as a weekday call resident, you will basically cover all of our inpatient sites. So that would include Blue Mound, our IPR, as well as our two services at the VA, so our spinal cord injury unit, as well as our general VA service.
All right, a lot of educational activity that we have. As a PGY2, first thing kind of highlighting on call, you don't take call for 2 months unless you choose to do so. So that kind of helps ease the transition for PGY2s coming on. We also do a boot camp of introductory lectures in July. So the PGY2 didactics are only for July, and it kind of goes over the bread and butter of kind of basics that you'll encounter with IPR, like TBI, spinal cord, acquired limb deficiency, things like that. There's also research didactics that go for PGY2, kind of covering the process of doing research at MCW. And newly in the past year, we've implemented neuroanatomy didactics covered by our new TBI specialists, and that goes over 8 weeks. For the PGY2 classes, but it also is open for 3s and 4s if they'd like to come as well. Our academic didactics start as a group in August, and those can range anywhere from a half day to even a full day, depending on how much lectures are scheduled for that day. And that's protected time. We go through it's a repeating of lectures every year. So by the time, like with Ryan and I being in PGY4 year, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we remember this from years prior and things like that to help reinforce the material. We have year-long anatomy, physical exam lectures. We're newly implementing EMG lectures for all years. This is the first year it's going to start. And then at the end of the year, it's more dedicated didactics and cases that the threes and fours join in for, because when you're PGY 3 and 4 years, when you're actually doing EMGs, but trying to enhance our knowledge of EMG basics, especially in the second year, was some feedback that we got. And so, um, you know, feedback our program takes very seriously, and making changes and things that can improve our education. So that's a new thing this year. We do a lot of hands-on ultrasound. It kind of goes along with our anatomy. So if 1 week our anatomy is covering the shoulder, the next week we do ultrasound of the shoulder, and then we always have dedicated practice time. Something new that started last year as well is a monthly ultrasound interest group, and it was really well participated in, and so that's something that we're continuing this year as well. This is led by our sports attending Dr. Curtis. We have a monthly journal club that starts in August. That's for all the classes. And then a case conference that we do this time. It used to be virtual. With COVID, it transitioned to virtual, but now we're going it back into in-person. And that's both for the VA and our inpatient rehab. So not only covering interesting cases on the rotation you're on, but morbidity and mortality conferences.
And then this slide is just kind of a smattering of pictures of some of our educational activities. On the far left, you can see Kristen performing some EMGs during one of our hands-on EMG skills labs. And then in the center of the screen, you'll see one of our PGY4s, Andrew, I believe, doing some virtual reality during our spasticity rotation as a PGY3. And then just some other times at AAPM&R, as well as in our therapy gym, just learning kind of the ins and outs of some of the equipment that we have.
Briefly cover the fellowships. Spinal cord injury, which is ACGME accredited. We have a comprehensive neuro and spasticity management, which is non-ACGME. Pain is through anesthesiology. Sports is through orthopedic surgery. Hospice and palliative through internal medicine, and neurocritical care through neurology. So a lot of fellowship opportunities at MCW. Probably the most popular in terms of the past couple of years, which we'll go through, has been the spinal cord pain and sports, but we also get spasticity fellows as well.
And then this slide is kind of giving you a sense of, in the past 10 years, which of our residents have gone into practice immediately after residency versus those who have pursued a fellowship. And as you can see, I would say since about 2021, it's been kind of a split, a mix between the two, but generally speaking, it seems like most people will opt to pursue a fellowship, but certainly you won't have any issues finding jobs as a general physiatrist either, as two of our just graduated residents both got good jobs in the Midwest.
Yeah, kind of going to that. So recent graduates, pain fellowship at MCW, a NAS sports and spine in Phoenix, spinal cord injury at Stanford, the spasticity fellowship at MCW, and then two went on to be general physiatrists. Ryan and I's class, current PGY4s, it's kind of split down the middle. Three of us want to do fellowship, and the other three are thinking going into a position right after graduation.
Just give you guys your 5 minutes and so.
Okay.
Thanks.
So this slide basically just speaking about some of our longitudinal tracks, and we have a research intensive track, which two of our graduates in the past couple of years have participated in, where you actually get funding to work on research and also dedicated research time during your residency. And then we also have a medical education track, which was kind of reimagined last year, and Kristen is actually one of the members of that track.
Yeah, and just unique opportunities that are unique to our program. If these are any of your interests, it's definitely an opportunity for you to take advantage of. So since we have 5 minutes, we'll kind of go through some of these things, but this is some of the classes, and pets are always encouraged. So some of the program highlights, we have a lot of spasticity training and exposure. Like for instance, you're required in your PM&R residency to do 20, I believe, Botox injections. I've logged almost 200 injections. So a lot of spasticity training. We also do VR with spasticity training as well, which has been unique. EMG training, our spinal cord injury training, adaptive sports is something that we do a lot, which we'll explain on the next slide. really also just the people are great. Attendings, everyone's super welcoming, super supportive. It's been a great culture. And then, as we mentioned before, a lot of fellowship opportunities within MCW as well. I'll mention this here too with adaptive sports. So, one of our spinal cord attendings is the medical director of the National Veterans Wheelchair Games. So he takes students on an annual basis. This year, the year prior was New Orleans. This year was in Minneapolis. Next year is in Detroit. And so that's a unique opportunity to provide medical coverage. You go as work, so it's not like you're taking work off. It's considered work with what you're doing. But it's just a great opportunity to really get immersed in what is adaptive sports.
And then again, just some pictures of us spending time together outside of work. But in the interest of time, we'll go ahead and move on ahead.
And family, lots of residents come with spouses, kids, pets. So that's always encouraged in terms of coming to different events. And just quickly, we'll do little things in Milwaukee. I'm a big fan of the movie Bridesmaids, and this line always gets to me. I'm from the Chicagoland suburbs. I love living in Milwaukee. It's been a great time. I know, Ryan, you can probably touch more. You've been here longer than I have.
Yeah, so I went to undergrad here in Milwaukee and came back for residency. So I'm going on my ninth year here, but Milwaukee's been great to me. It's a great city. It's a good middle-sized city. So smaller than Chicago, but a lot of perks of living in a big city. So as you can see here, we're located on Lake Michigan. We're the biggest city in the state of Wisconsin, and then we're pretty centrally located. If for whatever reason you wanted to leave the city on the weekend or for a short, day trip, we're close to other major cities, including Chicago, Madison, Green Bay, and Minneapolis.
And then just kind of some briefly touching on some of the neighborhoods. We have our Milwaukee Lakefront, the Seasons of Milwaukee, a big Seasons fan. Yes, it does snow, but it actually has been just getting more cold than it has been snow. Our winter wasn't actually too bad. Festivals aplenty. It's pretty much every weekend in the summer. It's pretty fun. We just had the Wisconsin State Fair, ate a lot of horrible food, but it's really fun to go. Sports wise, all the sports. I'm a Bears fan, so I did go to Lambeau Field for the draft with a couple of other residents. I won't ever go there again, but Packers are a big thing here. The Bucks, wish they would have done better in the playoffs. The Brewers, who are killing it right now, sadly against my Cubs. And then we have the Admirals. They're AHL team, the step down before the NHL for the Nashville Predators. So their tickets are super cheap, but they're really fun. We had a resident outing there for one of the games. It was awesome. And then on the right, that is not Giannis, but Thanasis, his brother. He came to the rehab hospital as a Bucks social out gathering thing.
Yeah.
And so we all took a picture with him, and then he actually got us tickets to go onto the court before one of the games one time. So that was really cool. Other stuff we're flying through here, different festivals, concerts, breweries are really well known. Going up north to Door County, skiing and snowboarding, there's a whole group that do those things. And then I don't know, Ryan, if you wanted to just touch really quickly on some of these neighborhoods.
Yeah, so one of the beauties about Milwaukee is there's plenty of cool neighborhoods. The Third Ward is an awesome place. It's where, a lot of young professionals live. It's a cool place if your parents are in town to take your parents for lunch or dinner. We also have a great public market, voted one of the best in the country. And next slide. A lot of residents live in Tosa. If you've been watching the news lately, you'll see that this is one of the places that was hit hardest by a flood over the weekend. But Tosa is great. It has a really cool downtown area, and in the summer, it's one of the stages for a bike race through the state of Wisconsin. Bayview is kind of more, if you're looking for more, I guess, hipster vibe or something closer to like Logan Square, if you're familiar with Chicago. It's a nice neighborhood with a lot of cool restaurants and bars. And then Brady Street, similar to Bayview, but more towards the Upper East Side of Milwaukee. Also very cool, a lot of festivals, a lot of bars, a lot of young people.
And so takeaway points here, I know we're coming at the end. It's a great program, a lot of opportunities for research, sideline coverage, basically whatever you're interested in. with co-residents, attendings, program leadership will make sure you get that exposure. We're competitive for fellowships and for jobs, and it's just the culture. The people here really truly are the best and really are super supportive. So if you guys have any questions, I know we're running a little short on time. Please feel free to put those in the chat. Our program director, Dr. Goodfriend, is here as well too. Take a screenshot, write down our emails. Feel free to reach out to us about any other further questions you may have. And yeah, Ryan, do you have anything?
I don't think so. I just put my email in the chat, so feel free to reach out or drop questions there, and we'll stick around for a little bit to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you all so much.